Welcome to Business as a Magical Practice, where your business is the vehicle for your self-integration and soul evolution. My name is Sam Garcia, and I'm the founder of Dirty Alchemy Digital Marketing. And I'll be guiding you through how you can use your business as a spiritual practice and what magical businesses are doing to hit their goals and change the world. Together, we'll be relating the mystical to the world of business so that our work can unite spirit and matter, shadow and light, conscious and unconscious. Let's dive in. Let's talk about sex and business. So this episode is inspired by a book I'm reading, or have been taking a break from, but I started reading. But first I want to give a little update on me and life, because I haven't done that in a while, and I just love connecting with you guys, and a few people were asking. And I am recording this at the end of June of 2022, and it's been a lovely summer, honestly, like really delving into the energy of summer. And what that's looking like for me is beyond travel, it's been a lot more time at the farms. So I live on Maui. My husband does regenerative farming, and he has 3 large farms in various parts of Maui. And one of them is about a 4 or 5 minute drive from our apartment. And he's been really decking it out and going big with the various projects he's been on. So building out a food truck for a farm stand, and this really epic sitting area for doing workshops. And my favorite part of this is he's been really ramping up the amount of animals he has. And we don't farm animals for food. We're both meat eaters, but kind of consider hunting is where we get our meat versus like raising animals and becoming friends with them and then killing them. It's just kind of a weird dynamic. But we have all these animals right now. From wild boar, he caught a few wild boar in a valley on Maui last year and raised them from babies. So like, I don't know, they were pretty small, like maybe the size of a football last year, and they were like full-blown adult animals with enormous testicles for the male the male wild boar. And they've started having babies, and right after they were born, they're just these tiny little wild boar piglets, and it was just such a joy. They're starting to get football size themselves, and there's like 30 of them now. It's kind of ridiculous, but it's on this 40-acre oceanfront farm, which is pretty epic. And then we got some peacocks for the farm. This white, the female is completely white, and the male is kind of the classic looking peacock, where they're that super vibrant blue and green. And we're really hoping that they supposedly it's kind of difficult for them to mate and have babies. So I consider my husband a green magician, fertility god, and he always gets animals to have babies. So I'm fully convinced that this male and female pair is going to breed. And I was Googling what is the mix between a white peacock and a blue peacock, and they look just nuts. They're like I'm just really excited about these crazy peacocks that will hopefully have babies, and they're like these mixed colors of whites and blues of them. They almost look like, some of them are like half. It looked like half white, half blue, and some of them have like white and blue spots. It's just nuts. So I'm excited about that. I'm really excited about the peacocks. And then, I mean, we have chicken and guinea hen, which we call unicorn chickens, and they're just like over 50 of each kind, and they're all over the place. And these massive tortoises, and a stray cat just had a little kitten, this like 1 pound tiny kitten. So I've been, needless to say, I'm just rambling on about animals at this point, but I've been spending a lot of the time on the farm with the animals, especially now that he's set up this really nice workshop area that is actually comfortable to sit in, versus before we're in Lahaina. So it's hot in the summertime. And just having a shaded workshop area has been so pleasant to hang out. But yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just been a lot of time in nature, hanging out with my husband, hanging out with friends, trying to train my dogs, and just enjoying summer outside of working on the business. We're kind of in this back end stage of the business right now, where we're starting to build out, YouTube videos and the YouTube channel and building out funnels, which I can't lie, this Virgo can really geek out on funnels. So I'm excited about those. And it's just been nice. It's been quiet and lovely and not been in a super active promotion mode, which has its own lovely energy to it. But it's just been this much more calm, peaceful expansion. So that's a quick little update. And before going into sex and business, and specifically responsive desire. So the book I've been reading is Come As You Are, The Surprising New Science That Will Transform Your Sex Life by Emily Nagoski. And this has been recommended to me by a few different people, and I was absolutely attracted to the cover. Like, it's such a fun, like, pink and, well, sexy cover that was in my, like, wish list for a while. I just never got around to it, and then I finally started reading it and was like, oh, fuck, now I know why everyone is recommending it. It is an excellent book. Excellent. She's a researcher and uses tons of science and statistics, but her writing is so fun and easy to read. So highly recommend for whether you are having issues in your sex life or you have a brilliant sex life. It's just like, it's something that it's just a pleasure. It's such a pleasure to, anyways. So one of the concepts that Emily brings up in Come As You Are is the idea of spontaneous versus responsive desire. And I just wanted to pull up a quote from that, which is, the standard narrative of sexual desire is that it just appears. You're sitting at lunch or walking down the street. Maybe you see a sexy person or think a sexy thought, and pow, you're saying to yourself, I would like some sex. This is how it works for maybe 75% of men and 15% of women. That's spontaneous desire. But some people find that they begin to want sex only after sexy things are happening. And that's normal. They don't have low desire. They don't suffer from any ailment. And they don't long to initiate, but feel like they're not allowed to. Their bodies just need some more compelling reason than, that's an attractive person right there, to want sex. They are sexually satisfied and in healthy relationships, which means that lack of spontaneous desire for sex is not, in itself, dysfunctional or problematic. Let me repeat. Responsive desire is normal and healthy. So that's a quote from Emily Nagoski. And if you listen to my episode with Dr. Rose, who was episode 117 from May 12th, 2022, she talked about this idea of responsive desire, and she gave this great metaphor of, you usually don't walk around just wanting cookies, right? You don't go about your life being like, man, I just like want some cookies all the time. What usually happens is you walk into the kitchen while someone is baking cookies, and you smell the baking cookies smell and it's wafting in, and suddenly you're like, oh man, I want cookies. Or like, think of real estate agents who have the little spray scent of baking cookies, or they have that candle that smells like baking cookies, or they literally go in there and bake cookies to give the sense of home. But usually, like, this is sex for most people, right? This is sexual desire for most people, this responsive desire. Like, you usually don't go around life wanting sex, and then you're actually, you smell the wafting cookie smell and you want it, right? So like someone initiates you, or you read some exotica or erotica, or you watch some porn, and then you want it, right? There's this, you're wanting sex in response to something. Okay, and I swear, like, I'm going to be looping in business in a second, you guys. But I thought these statistics were super interesting. So as she said in that quote, as many as 75% of men compared to 15% of women report spontaneous sexual desire being their primary sexual desire. And then about 5% of men and 30% of women report primarily responsive desire. So most of the time they don't want sex unless they're like, it's initiated and they're starting to do sexual things or something prompts them. And then there is that mixed category. Like if you're adding up those percentages, about 55% of women and 20% of men experience mixed sexual desire. So that's what you expect it to be. Like some of the time it's spontaneous, some of the time it's in response to something. And this actually is like a lot of things in business. If you're someone who's like, I don't want to write my sales page, or I don't want to outline my online program, or I don't want to record that video. But once you create the space for it and you start doing it, you are totally into it and you totally enjoy the process, right? That is responsive desire in relation to things that you do in your business, right? So you could be totally procrastinating and avoiding things. Like I do this all the time, right? I love writing. I consider myself a writer, but what do I procrastinate the most? Writing. But once I'm in it and once I have space for it, I'm not stressed about other things and I have this chunk of time away from my phone, I'm like, this is my soul's calling, right? And so another quote from Emily from the book is, the problem isn't the desire itself, it's the context. You need more sexually relevant stimuli activating the accelerator and fewer things hitting the brake. So in the book, she uses this great metaphor around sexual desire. And of course, it's a range. It's not just like you're one or the other, where some people have, when it comes to sexual desire, they have this, it's like they have a really sensitive accelerator. If you can think of an accelerator on the car, where like any little thing can make the car go faster. Anything can turn you on. And if we're looking at statistics, significantly more men are like this. And then the other side of things, do you have a sensitive brake? So like a brake in a car that will, instead of having it going fast, you're stopping, right? So this is where you're in the act of sex and then suddenly you have like one stray thought and you're completely out of it, right? Or it has to be a completely perfect context in order to want to have sex. That would be like you have a sensitive brake. And I think this is so interesting in the realm of any sort of desire or pleasurable act, not just sex, but I mean, if you are listening to this podcast, I assume your business is something you consider your soul's purpose, and it is something you desire to create. It's something you deeply desire to get out into the world. So is it something where you're in this constant flow of creation and doing, and I want to get it out into the world? Or do you have a more sensitive break where it has to be the perfect context in order to want to do specific actions in your business? So happens to me all the time, happens to my clients all the time. And of that, like, oh, I love writing sales pages, but I'll resist doing it. But you set up the ideal situation, you make time for it, and you love it. So for me, my perfect writing, and I'm just going to use writing because this can happen. This can be for anything in your business, but I'm just going to use writing in this scenario because I started with it. For me, it's going to the beach and writing in my phone. Not having a laptop, but actually writing or recording voice memos in my phone. That's my favorite way of creating a sales page. It's like, because if I have a full-on computer with internet access, then I'll be like, oh, what is this? Let me thesaurus this one word, and like, let me research this one thing so it's perfect, versus if I actually have less access to things that can distract me. So writing on my phone, recording voice memos, or writing in an actual notebook. Or another scenario that works really well for me is having an open afternoon and leaving my phone in the other room and putting music on or binaural beats on. Like, that's an amazing space for me to create in my business. Okay, so going back to spontaneous versus responsive versus mixed desire, is most intuitive people like you think that they can only write or create in their business when they're quote unquote in the mood, or it spontaneously erupts from them. Yeah? Does that resonate? But can you actually see how this is the result of our conditioning? It's like a spillover, that the only correct sexual desire is spontaneous sexual desire, because that's what most men are. And we're in a patriarchal society, unfortunately. Your only correct channeling of brilliant copy is when it hits you in the middle of the grocery store, right? That spontaneous eruption, that spontaneous desire to write. But that's not going to actually serve you in becoming the biggest name in your niche. It's not going to serve you in getting to multiple 6, 7 figures. And please think of this as a serious hack, okay? You learning how to turn yourself on in the context of doing things for your business, okay? So I really want you to get this, because there are things that your business will need from you. There are things that your future potential clients will need from you that isn't just spontaneously erupting from you all the time. I mean, again, if you have that sensitive accelerator trigger, that could be you. But for most of us, there are things in our business that we don't just like, oh, I'm so excited to work on this one funnel. Like, oh, often like we need that open afternoon, or we need to have our candle lit and the lighting just right, and an open afternoon, and all distractions put away, and our door is closed so the people we live with aren't distracting us. And we actually set aside time for it, and we schedule it. So you actually implementing that, and not leaning into the conditioning that, oh, I can only do the things that I like spontaneously inspired to do in my business, and if I'm not doing that, then I'm like doing something is wrong and I'm not living in alignment with blah, 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 blah. No. Most of us have responsive desire in relation to the things that we do in our business. Okay. So you actually figuring out how to create the perfect context and the perfect scenario, or the just right, and how to get yourself in the mood for it is an amazing hack. So I have some journal prompts for you, and don't worry, these are going to be in the show notes of how to actually start mastering this, or at least you start using this hack of responsive desire in your business. And the first one is, what have you been putting off that you do ultimately enjoy once you get into it? What have you been putting off that you do ultimately enjoy once you get into it? And then the next one is, how can you restructure your schedule to give you the spaciousness to turn yourself on towards it? How can you restructure your schedule to give you the spaciousness to turn yourself on towards those things? And the last one is, what environment gets your juices flowing around it? What environment gets your juices running for it? And you can think of that in terms of actual location, or it can be like, oh, I love this one candle. I need to make sure that no one is distracting me, and I have a do not disturb on my door. Or like, I like to be at the park. I like to work out beforehand, so I like actually have blood flowing. I like to meditate beforehand or do breath work beforehand. I like to play this one music. Just what are all the things to actually create this perfect recipe for you being turned on for doing those things that you have actual responsive desire around? Okay. And I'm really excited about this episode, you guys. I'm really excited to get you, to have you start working with this, because it actually is an amazing, like, magical power in terms of our business. Most people don't realize this, and they'll like instead try and like drink a bunch of coffee or like just white knuckle it, when really like you just have to get into this to find the right context and how do you actually turn yourself on towards it. So I'm so excited for you. Keep me posted. Let me know what your environments are. Like what I would love to hear what environment piques or triggers your responsive desire around the things that you ultimately do enjoy once you get into it in your business. And of course, if this podcast is serving you, please subscribe, rate, and review. It seriously helps more people find the podcast. And I just friggin' love reading your reviews. They're so sweet. And if you have any feedback or constructive things, like I will read them and I will make changes based on what you guys say, of course. And if you want help with this, you guys, consider joining the Alchemical Business Intensive. We have our next cohort starting in the fall, but you can apply for it now and get instant access to all of the trainings. And there are so many trainings and resources within the portal that you can get immediate access to. So the Alchemical Business Intensive is our small group alchemical container, and it, of course, includes all the trainings that you need to set up your business to run without you so that you can be spending your time in your zone of genius and have more and more money flow in while you actually get more time off. So that is trainings on copywriting, on tech setup, on systems, exactly how to hire a team, magic and mindset, a huge standard vault of standard operating procedures so that you can literally hand over to a VA of like, here's exactly how to do these things. Please do them. Here you go. I lead the coaching calls. You get access to the professional copywriter on my team and have her review any content you submit to her. And this is just an insane resource. One of people's number one favorite things of the container, of being able to have someone who is a professional in conversion copywriting review your writing, whether it's a sales page or a post or a lead magnet. And there's also the tech magician on my team. She leads monthly systems calls for you to like actually get down and dirty with her and look at the back end of your funnels and how to set up various things. And in addition to that, there are weekly calls in the program. You can choose to have an accountability partner. There are hypnotic tracks to support growing without hustle. And it's our flagship program, something I'm the most proud of in my business, this program. And you can go read dozens of testimonials on our full info page at thedirtyalchemy.com/ABI. Again, there are like dozens of, this is our third round running it, and we already have dozens of testimonials because it is that good. And I would love to read your application as soon as you apply. It takes about 15 minutes to write out your application. As soon as you apply, you'll be able to book a call with me to see if it's a good fit. And I will be honest, if it's not a good fit for you, I will tell you. And various previous people who have attended, like, they're happy to talk about it. If you want to reach out to them on Instagram, I can give you their contact info and they'll tell you about the program. So yes, that is all for today. Keep me posted on your environments that turn you on for your business. I'd love to hear about them so you can create that context and how that goes. And I'll see you next week. Next week we have a lovely guest and we'll be talking about when is the right time to write a book for your business, because it's not anytime. There are times when you don't actually want to focus on writing a book. If you feel like you have a book in you and you want to get it out there for your business, a nonfiction book or a memoir that will be supportive of your business, we'll be talking about that with Elizabeth Lyons, and she gives so many amazing practical tips for writing a book and getting it out into the world. And she's a good friend, so it's just a super fun conversation that I can't wait to share, and that will be next Thursday. So I'll see you then, and have a great week.